On what's set to be the hottest day of the year, the mini challenge rolls into Oulton Park. One thing's for sure, it's definitely going to be heating up on the track very shortly, with two races, rounds 11 and 12, on what is a beautiful but particularly challenging circuit. Shane Stoney comes to Oulton Park maintaining his championship lead, but Brand certainly closed up the title battle. Hoping to repeat their successes here today are Lee Allen and Jono Brown in the JCWs and Hamish Brandon in the Coopers. But, as always, the mini challenge provides exceptionally close and unpredictable racing. This weekend sees the welcome return of David Ogden to the Mini Challenge Championship. Now, we last saw him back in November at Donington for the end of the 2012 season. I caught up with him a little bit earlier to find out why he's back.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Absolutely love it. And after winning the Cooper Championship in 10, with my first ever season in racing, yeah, I've got a bit of a bug. I think Anthony's come in and just offered something I think a little bit more, more business-like and more professional. I think he's brought something to the championship that it needed. He's put it on trying to put it on a different level, which is fantastic. And I think just seeing the people around today. I know the weather's good, but there's just a lot more people interested in the series. There's a hell of a grid this weekend. There's 28 cars out there, and I think fantastic. It feels a lot more professional. There's a definite difference in the style of driving, I think, and these guys really are quite aggressive with the car. It's a different style to what I'm used to, and they seem to be able to pedal these cars around the circuit in a very impressive way. Something that if I was to get back into it, I'm going to have to start learning a little bit myself, I think.
It's a loaded grid, 27 cars preparing for a standing start in the first race. Now, current championship leader Shane Stoney's in pole position for the Cooper class, with speedy Irishman Chris Smiley in front for the JCWs. It's time to get a sweat on and go racing.
Well, whilst it might be rare to have a heatwave in Cheshire, it's not so rare to have great racing in Oulton Park for the mini challenge, and this is how they line up. Within the JCW class, it's an all Chris front row, Chris Smiley and Chris Smith. From an all J row 2, Jono Brown and Jake Packen. Then an all L row 3, Luke Caudle and Lee Allen. It's Shane Stoney who heads the Cooper class from Hamish Brandon. A pair of them been going very well thus far this season. From then Ollie Walker and Ben Gridley, Josh Gollin and Ricky Page can always be relied on to go very, very well. 29 of them in all. Once more, a huge field of cars assembled for the mini challenge as the red lights are on and flash out, and away we go here at Oulton Park. And it's a great conversion to pole position from Chris Smiley. Also in the Cooper class, it is Shane Stoney who just pulls clear of Hamish Brandon into Old Hall for the first time, and it's Smiley who leads from Smith as they head out of Old Hall and down the avenue through Denton's into Cascades as Jake Packen in the black number 13 car, pressurising the orange and black car of Chris Smith for second position. We're in car with William Davison in pursuit of Kevin O'Connor through Cascades, and along Lakeside we head with Chris Smiley leading the way though from Smith and Packen. It's Lee Allen in third, fourth place Jono Brown, or rather fifth place Jono Brown, and sixth place is Luke Caudle as they all constantly up on the brakes and work around Shell Oil's hairpin before sprinting along towards Britain's the leading 6 cars already running as a train. Then a slight gap back to Kevin O'Connor, as well up in 7th, just clear William Davidson, right, jinking over the curbs of Britain's for the first time. Right the left-hander, right the right the left again, and then up over Hilltop and into Hizzies. Really the entire pack running as one all the way back to Lawrence Davey. Chris Smiley, they'll be looking to just pull clear of Chris Smith if he possibly can. Smiley had a good weekend at the mini festival, lost him out at Brands Hatch in front of a large crowd. It's another big crowd assembled here at Oulton Park today, enjoying the June sunshine as we go in car with Ricky Page in pursuit of Josh Gollin. They're currently doing battle over 5th and 6th in the Cooper class. Ricky Page trying over Clay Hill to draw alongside Josh Gollin. Gollin though able to move back ahead of him. They're chasing down Gideon Cresswell just in front of them. That's the Cooper class. This is the JCW class, and the overall race with Chris Smiley still just from Chris Smith. As Lee Allen having all sorts of questions asked of him by Jono Brown. Brown, of course, who raced with such success last year in the Cooper class in pursuit of Lee Allen. Lee Allen, who got the monkey off his back in terms of trips to the podium at the mini festival, as he runs a little bit wide over at the curbs of Old Hall, and that's going to lose ground to Jake Packen then in third position. And Packen in turn would have expected him to be maybe a little bit closer to Messrs Smiley and Smith, just ahead of him. So the first stick still running very tightly as Shane Stoney and Hamish Brandon try to pull clear of Ollie Walker, who runs third in the Cooper class. Then Josh Godden and Ricky Page continue their pursuit. Gideon Cresswell with Adrian Norman and Justin Taylor also for fairly close company. Round Island on the brakes into Shell's hairpin. This is the fight for fourth. It's still the blue car of Lee Allen ahead of the predominantly black car of Jono Brown, and then Luke Cordell, Lee Allen's arch rival, in pursuit. And Cordell, though, just doesn't quite seem to have the car underneath him today as we go in Craig Freeman, who's battling with Patrick Mortimer and makes contact with Mortimer, gets launched into the air. Mortimer goes sideways as well, and I think seems to come off from that rather better than Craig Freeman. Indeed, Freeman pulls to a smouldering stop at the side of the road as he gets passed by the Cooper class leaders, Shane Stoney, Hamish Brandon, Ollie Walker, still all running really very tightly together as they arrive into Britain's. Chris Smiley, meanwhile, still able to just gradually extend his advantage over Chris Smith and Jake Packen. Lee Allen, though, has got absolutely no margin to speak of over Jono Brown, who was looking every which way to try and move through at Old Hall. He couldn't quite do it. As we go in car with Brown, then now down the avenue into Denton's, and then the left-hander at Cascades. And really, unless you're alongside before you hit the braking point for the left-hander at Cascades, there's no way through there. Instead, Brown will maybe set about his pursuit of Lee Allen along Lakeside. In the Cooper class, Shane Stoney being kept very honest here by Hamish Brandon. Hamish Brandon, for me, has been one of the stars of the season. Shane Stoney, relatively speaking, quite experienced because he raced last year in the Mini Challenge. Hamish Brandon, though, has just been getting faster and faster. Ricky Page has had no such concerns about pace. He's always had that single lap pace. He's just not quite had the luck as he continues this seesaw battle with Josh Gollin. And this really, the beauty of the Mini Challenge, wherever you are on the field, there is always somebody to race with, and normally race absolutely bumper to bumper with them. Ricky Page looks to the inside at Cascades, realises there's no way through there. Gollin sticks to his guns as the pair of them head along Lakeside. Race leader in the Cooper class, Shane Stoney, still with Hamish Brandon, his ever-present shadow, as they are about to ride over the curves at Britain's. Oh, and that's a slight mistake there from Stoney as he goes across the grass, bumps and balls. Let's hope he's not done any suspension damage there, as the rear of the car got launched up into the air, and he was somewhat precarious in his front axle for a while. Seemed to be getting back to speed okay, but nothing else. That would have been a very bumpy ride. Josh Gollin and Ricky Page follow through. A few moments later, their battle isn't as intense as ever, and still Page can't find a way past Gollin as they're about to be caught by the overall race leader, Chris Smiley. So Chris Smiley, first the JCW cars, he, as you can see, is several seconds clear of Chris Smith, who remains in second position. Now got a little bit in terms of traffic to content himself with as we're into the latter stages of the race here. And Chris Smiley powers past Ricky Page, powers past Josh Gollin as well. In car Jono Brown, his battle with Lee Allen continues apace. They're running out of time here because into the final turn goes Chris Smiley. It's going to be a very emphatic victory in the first of the weekend's Mini Challenge races here at Oulton Park. So he takes the checker flag, and the win means that the battle for the Cooper class is just going to squeeze an extra lap out of this, as Jono Brown comes under pressure of Luke Cordell. Still, Ricky Page and Josh Gollin do battle. They're not going to get on the rostrum here, but they have thoroughly entertained the crowd. It's been a super scrap, and Gollin has done very well to withstand the best efforts of Ricky Page. Here is the leader of the Cooper class, though, Shane Stoney. He's on the tail of Bob Hosier, and Hosier a slight distraction for him. I don't think he's going to be caught, though, by Hamish Brandon between now and the flag. Just to make sure, though, Stoney thinks about trying to move to the inside of Hosier into Lodge Corner. Can't do it. Instead, just settles for a nice, clean run through Lodge, which is exactly what he gets. He heads up over dearly. The checkered flag is ready and waiting, and it is another Cooper class win for Shane Stoney from Hamish Brandon, with Ollie Walker having completed the rostrum. Let's have a look then at the final results, with victory for Chris Smiley from Chris Smith. Jake Packen completes the rostrum, then Lee Allen, John O'Brown and Luke Cool had that super fight for fourth. In terms of the JCW class, it was Chris Smiley from Chris Smith and Jake Packen. And in the Cooper class, Shane Stoney claiming the honours from Hamish Brandon and Ollie Walker. In the searing sunshine then, the drivers onto the rostrum, receiving the spoils of victory, the 20 litres of Sunoco race fuel for Shane Stoney, and the entry to the BTCC test drive prize draw for Chris Smiley. Now all that needs to be done is the reverse grid draw.
Six it is.
Yeah, well, we've been working very hard on our car setup and sort of consistency in my driving, so it's all the work seems to be paying off. Chris drove a hard race too. I done all my work in the first few laps and I got my head down, didn't make any mistakes.
Just got to keep finishing. Bronze was a bit of a disaster really, so just got to keep finishing in podium places if we can, and we should just keep trying to get points.
Some great action in the middle and back of the grid, along with some comfortable wins there. The drivers are now off to take a well-deserved break, and I would imagine cool down a lot before we come back for race number 2. We'll see you here at Oulton Park after the break.